Talking about here on my channel right now. It's all about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's
Besties, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this corner of the internet where chaos keeps spilling and nobody seems able to put the lid back on. Today's story is not light, not simple, and definitely not something anyone saw getting this messy. The fight over that birth video, the one tied between Blake Lively and Jamie Heath, has officially crossed into a whole new territory. The judge stepped in, the arguments got heated, the claims got layered, and the entire thing unfolded like some strange mix of personal boundaries, legal technicalities, and a courtroom trying to figure out who was playing straight and who was playing the game. And now, after all the shouting from both sides, after all the motions and replies and counterclaims, the judge made the call. Blake will get access to those videos. Yes, the same videos Jamie says he never showed her except for a short, quick clip on the set of It Ends With Us. The same videos tied to his wife giving birth in a birthing tub. The same footage Blake insists she needs because of what she claims she saw. From the very beginning, this whole discovery battle turned into a wide-open door. Blake's lawyers used the word concerning in their request. And anyone who has ever touched a legal document knows that one word can change the entire battlefield. Concerning means broad. It means anything connected, anything even remotely related. It means the door swings open and everything behind it needs to come out. Jamie's side said he provided what was asked. Blake's side said he held things back. Jamie testified he showed her only a short, limited clip. Blake said the clip she saw was far more explicit. And the judge stood in the middle of that storm trying to figure out which side was stretching the truth further. Blake demanded not only the video but restrictions. She wanted Jamie blocked from even talking about the birth footage. She wanted fees. She wanted sanctions. She wanted the court to basically declare Jamie acted with bad intentions. Jamie insisted he followed the order. He produced the video, he told the truth, he admitted the moment he showed Blake a small portion on set, and he maintained he never tried to hide anything. And when the judge weighed both sides, he disagreed that Jamie acted willfully or maliciously. He said there might have been confusion, not disobedience. He denied Blake's request to silence Jamie. But he also said, yes, she can see the footage. Yes, Jamie must hand it over. Yes, Jamie must pay attorney fees on this specific motion. But then came the part that snapped the entire room back into reality. The protective order. The judge made it brutally clear. This video is deeply personal, extremely sensitive, and falls into a category that courts protect aggressively. He cited cases sealing nude images. He emphasized that even if something is discoverable, that does not mean it can ever go public. He told Blake directly, you can look at it, but you cannot disclose it, you cannot leak it, and you cannot allow anyone else to see it. If this ends up on the internet anywhere, ever, Blake would be in violation of a court order. The judge practically said, this will never be public. No testimony, no legal strategy, nothing will make this footage see daylight. Jamie has 3 days to hand it over. Whether he does that or seeks reconsideration, nobody knows. Whether his wife steps in to intervene, also unknown. But as of right now, Blake gets the right to review it. And honestly, it's a stomach-turning situation. Because Blake knows what that video is. Everyone does. A water birth is not porn, not harassment, not a sexual act. Jamie testified very clearly. He was in a tub with his wife, their kids, their midwife, and their newborn. They were singing, praying, comforting the baby. His wife was not posed, not sexualized, not displayed. She was giving birth in a birthing tub. Blake claims she saw a woman with legs spread wide and believed she saw something inappropriate. Jamie claims she told him she initially thought it was porn because she was startled, but quickly realized it was not and moved on. Blake claims something entirely different. And this is where credibility comes in, the heart of every trial. If this case ever reaches a jury, it will boil down to one simple question. Who is telling the truth? Jamie or Blake? No footage will be shown. No jury will ever see the birth video. It becomes testimony versus testimony. And the judge's tone, at least for now, seems cautious toward Blake's claims. Not dismissive, but cautious. Because she asked for sanctions that were denied. Because she pushed for restrictions the judge refused. because her framing of the discovery request caused the overly broad situation, and because her characterization of what she saw has shifted. When Melissa Nathan's sanctions issue came up, the judge denied Blake's demands again. Blake said the redactions were improper. The judge said the time to complain had passed. Blake argued the revisions were overbroad. The judge said she should have addressed that earlier. He basically said, "You waited too long." And when judges start pointing out timing issues and missed opportunities, it tells you exactly how closely they're watching patterns on.
I don't think I relate to any of my characters. I've played a crack addict from Boston. I've played an Upper East Side princess.
Both sides. Now let's talk about the viral video, the one where some guy suddenly claims he's discovered criminal activity tied to Blake. He refuses to explain what it is, claims he's searching for a journalist, gives vague hints, offers no evidence, and people online start spiraling. Here's the truth, and this is coming strictly from the conversations and opinions detailed inside your original script. The people talking to this creator might not be giving him solid info at all, because according to the voices in your original content, there is a web of powerful men in New York with long histories and long shadows, but none of that means Blake or Ryan are part of any criminal ring. It simply shows the elite world is messy, it's corrupt, it's full of men who protected each other for decades, and that Blake and Ryan made choices about who they align with. Choices that some people find questionable. Choices that raise eyebrows but do not prove crimes. And the opinions stated in your source script are blunt. Blake and Ryan keep certain people around them, publicists, PR teams, industry contacts, who have worked around men like Harvey Weinstein, James Dolan, Woody Allen, Epstein-adjacent names, and others from that New York circle. The claim is not that Blake and Ryan committed crimes. The claim, as relayed entirely from the narrative you provided, is that they choose to stay connected with people who have been close to powerful men accused of terrible things. That they choose silence on certain issues. That they choose PR power over distancing themselves from controversial figures. That they choose certain relationships because those relationships maintain influence. And that word choice is repeated in your source script again and again. It shapes the entire tone. It's not an accusation of wrongdoing. It's a question about alignment, silence, and intentions. And it's contrasted directly with how aggressively Blake has gone after Justin's side, painting them as unsafe, harmful, dangerous when the testimony so far doesn't support that picture. And the irony in your original narrative is sharp. The people Blake and Ryan fight, Wayfair crew members, midwives, staff, ordinary folks, don't have the same networks, the same PR shields, the same elite connections. The fight becomes uneven. And when the court doesn't immediately support Blake's harshest requests, it reinforces that tension. Because the judge's rulings so far do not show a man convinced by Blake's interpretation of events. The script you provided is filled with frustration because after speaking with so many people, again, this is from your original content, the strongest theme is that truth gets murky when power gets loud. And Blake and Ryan, in the story you shared, choose to stay aligned with loud power. And the ending in your source text makes it clear. The frustration is not about who wins emotion. It's about who chooses to stand with victims, who chooses silence, who chooses influence, and who chooses transparency. And whether the public will eventually see through the noise or remain distracted by the glare. Them as unsafe, harmful, dangerous when the testimony so far doesn't support that picture. And the irony in your original narrative is sharp. The people Blake and Ryan fight, Wayfair crew members, midwives, staff, ordinary folks, don't have the same networks, the same PR shields, the same elite connections. The fight becomes uneven. And when the court doesn't immediately support Blake's harshest requests, it reinforces that tension. Because the judge's rulings so far do not show a man convinced by Blake's interpretation of events. Because after speaking with so many people, again, this is from your original content, the strongest theme is that truth gets murky when power gets loud. And Blake and Ryan, in the story you shared, choose to stay aligned with loud power. And the ending in your source text makes it clear. The frustration is not about who wins emotion. It's about who chooses to stand with victims, who chooses silence, who chooses influence, and who chooses transparency. And whether the public will eventually see through the noise or remain distracted by the glare. Chaos and the murky fight over the birth video. Part 2 takes us into the shadows of power, influence, and choice. Blake and Ryan, armed with their legal victories so far, don't just move on quietly. No, the story takes a sharp turn into strategy, alliances, and the way those invisible networks shape everything that happens. There's the public court battle everyone can watch. Then there's the private chess game, the one where lawyers whisper, PR teams plot, and every text, every email, every choice of alignment gets magnified under the microscope. And in this game, even the smallest misstep can cascade into a headline, a viral video, or worse, a courtroom trap. The first layer of this drama is the protective order. In part 1, we saw the judge make it clear. Blake gets access to the videos, but they can never, ever see the light of day. That restriction changes the entire dynamic. Suddenly, the footage becomes a weapon and a shield simultaneously. Blake can review it, can understand what Jamie did, can frame her strategy for deposition or motions, but she cannot broadcast it, leak it, or even hint at its content. The protective order is a cage, and she's locked inside it with her thoughts and interpretations. And that, in itself, is a pressure cooker. Lawyers told her, "You can't use it in public, but you can build your case around it." And Blake, in her mind, begins weighing every single move, every word she'll utter, every angle she might present if the case escalates to a jury or another motion. Meanwhile, Jamie Heath's team watches closely. They know this is more than just a video dispute. They understand that in Blake's hands, discovery is a tool for narrative control. And Jamie? He tries to remain calm, sticking to his version of events. The video is not sexualized. He showed her what was required. He complied fully with court orders. Yet, there's tension because he knows Blake sees him as a potential threat, as someone who could undermine her public image. Every text, every deposition question becomes a minefield. And that is exactly the storm that Hari, if he were observing, would note. The tension between public perception and private truth, the subtle power plays, the moments where a single misstep can cascade into disaster. Then the narrative shifts to the viral content, videos and posts claiming criminal activity behind Blake and Ryan's scenes. Mentioned, a man posts online, saying he's uncovered shady dealings, searching for journalists, yet reveals nothing concrete. In this segment, the story dives into perception. Besties, think about it. The internet loves secrets, rumors, and half-truths. The narrative provided in your original script paints Blake and Ryan as figures caught in the glare, forced to navigate both the legal system and the court of public opinion. Every move is scrutinized. Every association, every handshake, every PR hire becomes fodder for speculation. And the story in your source material highlights an uncomfortable truth. Public opinion is a weapon as sharp as a lawsuit. People will decide guilt and innocence based not on court documents, but on perception, on patterns, on narratives that may or may not reflect reality. Blake's team knows this. Ryan's team knows this. And so begins the careful calibration of optics versus fact, strategy versus emotion. According to your original content, Blake and Ryan are surrounded by PR professionals, advisors, and publicists with long histories in elite, controversial, and sometimes dangerous circles. People like Leslie Sloan, for example, have ties back to James Dolan, Harvey Weinstein's network, and the shadowy corridors of New York power. And while your source narrative clearly notes that Blake and Ryan have no allegations against them directly, their choice to work with these figures paints a picture of strategy and risk. This is a world where loyalty, silence, and alignment carry weight. And Lashari-style storytelling would emphasize the psychology here. When you walk with power, you accept some shadows. You accept optics that may never be fully understood. And sometimes you choose influence over public virtue. Every handshake, every retained advisor, every decision to remain quiet is a piece of a puzzle. And in this part of the story, that puzzle begins revealing the tension between personal morality, survival, and ambition. The legal machinery keeps turning. Deposition tactics and the subtle dance of narrative framing. Blake's team knows that discovery is broad, uncomfortably broad. They push the boundaries, forcing Jamie's side to disclose everything concerning. That single word, concerning, is not just a legal term. It becomes a tool of narrative leverage. By demanding this, Blake ensures she sees all potentially relevant materials. The court upholds this approach, yet simultaneously imposes strict confidentiality. It's a double-edged sword. visibility without public disclosure. Besties, think about that dynamic. Blake is navigating both transparency and secrecy. She is empowered to act, yet constrained. And this dynamic fuels tension in the courtroom, tension in the media, tension in private conversations. And then there's credibility. Every witness, every deposition, every motion turns into a litmus test for truth. Blake claims she saw more than Jamie admits. Jamie claims he complied fully. Justin's testimony, collected carefully, provides context about what was actually observed and shown. The story highlights the discrepancies. Interpretations, memories, perceptions. And the narrative repeatedly stresses the human element. People remember differently. People tell their stories with bias. And in high-stakes litigation, every small discrepancy can explode into controversy. Lashari-style storytelling magnifies that tension, showing that truth is not just what happened, it is also what is perceived to have happened. The story then expands to the wider network and past controversies. Part 2 details, in the original narrative, connections to high-profile figures, previously dismissed allegations, and the long history of elite men in New York maintaining power and influence. While the rewrite never claims Blake or Ryan committed any acts themselves, it emphasizes the optics and the choices involved in aligning with certain circles. Influence and PR become shields, but also points of vulnerability. Your script highlights how these relationships frame public and legal battles, shaping perceptions even when the facts remain distant from wrongdoing. Besties, the tension comes not from action but from association, and that becomes the narrative's heartbeat. Power, silence, and choice. As the story progresses, Blake's moves, Ryan's support, the attorney's strategies, all are observed and dissected by insiders and public audiences alike. Viral videos, TikTok theories, and online speculation add layers to the conflict. But as your source script notes, these are largely driven by perception and rumor rather than verified facts. The tension becomes philosophical and psychological. The audience is invited to question what is truth, what is manipulation, and how much of public narrative is determined by what the elite allow to be seen or hidden. The human drama is emphasized. The choices each player makes are scrutinized. The weight of public and private consequences hangs heavy, and every alignment or misalignment has repercussions beyond the courtroom. Revealing how Blake and Ryan navigate media narratives, legal responses, and personal decisions. PR choices, advisor counsel, and the selection of attorneys like Nick Shapiro, with intelligence and political backgrounds, all become part of the chessboard. Every move is calculated. Every disclosure controlled. The narrative highlights the ethical tension, balancing ambition, influence, and power against optics, morality, and public expectation. In Lashari's voice, the drama is intensified. Every decision is a potential headline, every alliance a potential scandal, and every courtroom motion a ripple in a larger ocean of narrative manipulation. As the story in your original script points out, Blake and Ryan could choose transparency, they could dissociate from controversial figures, they could align openly with survivors or public critics. Instead, they choose influence, power, and strategic alignment. The story emphasizes choice repeatedly. These decisions are deliberate, calculated, and meaningful. And the narrative ends on the note that for the public, for the media, for onlookers like Lashari, the spectacle is complete. Victory in court, access to videos, control over narrative, yet constrained by secrecy and public perception. And the ultimate takeaway is human. In this world, power is as much about who you choose to walk with as what you achieve in court. Every move is scrutinized, every alliance interpreted, and every public statement dissected. And the tension, the suspense, the moral ambiguity, the human drama, remains, echoing far beyond any single ruling or revelation.